Hi guys. All right, so I want to give you guys a little bit of a review of what I'm asking you guys to do today, Thursday, for multiplying fractions. I know we worked on multiplying fractions a little bit before we left for spring break. I don't know what you call it because it wasn't spring break when I left. Before we left for the quarantine. So I know we've slept since then, but so I want to give you guys a refresher. So I will work through like maybe the first couple, maybe 3 problems with you, and then I'm going to hand it off to you. So feel free to pause, rewind, all that fun stuff so that you can get the gist. However, if you still have questions after, feel free to hit me up on Google Meet, and I can share my screen with you and we can work through one together. Okay. All right, so let's look at number 1. It says to find the product. Remember, a product is the answer to a multiplication problem. Okay, so we have 7/10 times 4/6. Now, when I multiply fractions, remember, I'm just going to multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. I multiply my denominators and I multiply my numerators together. So I can do this. I can begin this one of 2 ways. I can begin just by multiplying straight across and simplifying until I get my most simplified answer, or I can cross cancel and get a more simplified answer. To just keep things easy peasy, lemon squeezy, let's just go ahead and multiply straight across for this one. I know 7 times 4, that's 7 times 4, that's 28. The screen glitched for a second. Right, 7 times 4 is 28, and then I know 10 times 6, that's 60. Okay, now I noticed that both of my numbers, both my numerator and my denominator, are even numbers. So I know that if they're both even numbers, I know for a fact that it can be simplified. Now, it doesn't mean that a fraction has to have even numbers in order for it to be simplified. That just means that that's one of the clues that you know that that fraction needs to be simplified if they're both even numbers. But it's not the golden rule, okay? All right, so I have 28. So if they're both even, and if I can't think of another number that can divide them evenly, and I know they can be both, and they're both even numbers, I know they can be divided by 2, let's just go ahead and do that. Let's divide both the top and the bottom by 2. Let me change my color really quick for you. So I'm going to divide 28 by 2 and 60 by 2. Now we're not always going to divide by 2, but you get the gist. Okay, so 28 divided by 2, well, when I divide by 2, that's just like cutting something in half. Okay, so half of 8 is 4, and that half of 2 is 1, so I get 14. If I add it 14 and 14 together, I get 28. Okay, and then half of 60, I think we all know, or at least the majority of us probably know that that's 30. Okay, again, I'm left with 2 even numbers. So I could do another round of dividing by 2 again. Okay, when I divide 14 by 2, that's 7, because I know 7 times 2 is 14. And then when I divide 30 by 2, I know half of 30 is 15, because 15 plus 15 equals 30. So I look at 7/15, and I know that there's nothing, I cannot divide 7 by anything. So if I know I can't divide 7 by anything, and I know the only thing 7 can be divided by is 7 itself, but 15 cannot be divided by 7. Okay, so that is in its simplest form. Okay, I know it does not tell you to simplify, but I would like you to simplify. All right, number 2 looks to be a little easier. Okay, so if we look at number 2, all right, remember I'm going to multiply straight across the top and straight across the bottom. All right, so I'm going to multiply my 2 numerators together. 2 times 4 is 8. And then 3 times 5 is 15. Okay. Looking at 8 and 15, I can't think of anything off the top of my head, okay, that would divide both of those numbers evenly, because 8 is an even number. It can really only be divided by 4 and 2 evenly. Yeah. So 15, it can be divided by 3 evenly. It can be divided by 5 evenly, but nothing that it has in common with 8/15. So that would be my simplified answer for that. So we're good to go on that. So we have time. Let's move on to number 3. All right. So this again looks like a easy peasy lemon squeezy one. All right, so I'm going to multiply my numerators, which 2 times 1 is 2. And then 8 times 3, well, that's just 24. But I see that they're both even numbers. And the most even and simplest of the numbers, 2. Okay, 2 can be divided by 2. All right, when I divide 2 by 2, I get 1. And I can divide 24 by 2. Again, when I divide by 2, I can think of it as cutting something in half. All right, half of 4 is 2, and half of 2 is 1. So I have 1/12. Anytime I have a numerator of 1, sorry, I'm looking over here, my camera's right here. Anytime I have a numerator of 1, that means it's as simplified as it can get. You already know it's as simple as it can get. So when your numerator is 1, that's as low as it can go. All right, I was trying to find one where we could cross cancel. Oh, I found a really good one where we can cross cancel. All right, so I'm giving you 4 freebies, guys. 4 of them. All right, so cross canceling. So instead of doing all of this up here, where we're going boom, boom, simplify, simplify. Oh, there, we finally get it. We're going to cross cancel to make our simplifying a little easier. It might even simplify it all the way for us. I don't know yet. Let's work through it. But it will simplify it somewhat to where we don't have to do as many steps as if we were to just multiply straight across the top and bottom. All right, so I'm going to choose pink here. I like pink. All right, so when I cross cancel, I'm looking at these 2 numbers, okay? And I'm going to look at these 2 numbers, okay? So that means I'm looking at the 3 and the 9, and I'm looking at the 6 and the 8, okay? Now, oops, here's what I'm going to ask myself. All right, so if I'm thinking of, let's look at the 6 and the 8 first. What do they have in common? What is a number that they have in common or can be divisible by evenly? What is their greatest common factor? What is a number that the biggest number that they have in common? I know it's not, can't be 4. I know 8 has 4, but 6 can't be divided by 4. It can't be 8 because 8. It can't be 6 because 6 can't be divided by 8. Well, I know both of them are even numbers, so I know they can both be divided by 2. So if I look at this, we can do the 8 first. 8 divided by 2, we can cross that out. 8 divided by 2, that's just 4. All right, and then 6 divided by 2, that's 3. So that changes those numbers to 3 and 4 respectively. Okay, now I'm going to do the same thing with 3 and 9. Okay, this one's easier because I know that 3 times 3 equals 9. So I already know a number that they have in common, and that's 3. All right, so I can say, well, I ask myself, what's 3 divided by 3? Well, that's just 1. I'm just crossing that 3 out. And then what's 9 divided by 3? Well, that's just 3. Okay, and I'm done cross canceling. So really now I'm looking at 1/3 times 4/3. So I'm going to multiply across the top and multiply across the bottom. All right, so 1 times 4 is 4. 3 times 3 is 9. And that's as low as it can go, guys. It is completely simplified. And I did not have to do all of those steps up here. So I showed you several different ways with 4 different problems. I gave you a multitude of freebies. Now you only have, that's 10 problems. Yeah, you only have 10 problems because we have 14 problems altogether. And I just did the first 4 for you. You're welcome. All right. So if you still have questions, and hop on to Google Meet. If it's not one of my office hour windows, have your parents send me a text message to my phone number or over to Google. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. It is 11:30, guys. Have your parents send me a text message or send me a dojo message and tell me that you guys really need to see me and we can work one-on-one and I can share my screen with you. Okay? All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Maybe, if I can stop the recording. No, bye-bye.